Good evening. Before I begin, apologies for dark glasses in some of the videos. It's the only pair I've got. They react to sunlight, so I have a choice between the mafia minister look or recording things after dark, at which point my tired eyes turn into squints and I resemble a mole as I try and stay awake longer than Marcia. Hopefully in this dusk light now they're more acceptable. Anyway, let's begin. Our world has been in what feels like a spin cycle these last couple of weeks. After the lockdown, it feels as though things have, calmed down a little. It's now only a tumble dryer. The following is an excerpt from an article in the Telegraph Online, dated the 27th of March, written by Terry Waite, the former Church of England envoy. In it, he shares his lessons on surviving the lockdown after being in solitary confinement for 5 years in Beirut. He says, "For some, the prospect of spending the coming few weeks in isolation is frightening. We are all social animals and are accustomed to being with other people. Now, because of the lockdown, it seems that the only contact many will have will be through the internet or via the telephone. Perhaps the occasional face-to-face conversation at a distance of 2 meters. Only a very few will be totally cut off from all contact with others. Since the lockdown began this week, I have decided to stay at the home we've had in Suffolk for more than 20 years. My wife is in London to be near children and grandchildren, so I am totally alone. As I have passed my 80th birthday, I don't have to worry about my job as many people will. All my engagements for the coming year have been cancelled or postponed, and so I suddenly find that I have the time to enjoy the solitude, and to be frank, I do." Now, I can't read the rest of the article as I don't have a Telegraph subscription, but I can guess what he might be saying. It might be something similar to what he said in an interview I watched yesterday about how he handled those 5 years in solitary confinement as a hostage. He said, "The key is to focus on what you are still in control of, rather than what you are not, and within that, to live each day to the full." Rather easy to say, but in Terry's case, he's learned the hard way, so I suggest he's worth listening to. I'm hoping we will all slow down and start to recreate a rhythm, a structure, a pattern to our daily and weekly living. That is not to minimise the suffering of those who are infected or affected. But for most of us, we can take comfort in knowing the symptoms or implications may well be minor. Nonetheless, it is easy to feel out of control, spooked by empty streets and almost silent roads, agitated by endless press reporting. And there is much that is now out of our control. But there is still so much that we can shape and explore. For me, today I've spent a little time making a start on planting a bed of wild flowers to enrich my life and to provide food for the bees round these parts. It's not much, but it is in my control, and I'll remember these days every time I see the flowers. I may even give thanks eventually. Beyond the purely practical, Christianity offers rich resources to aid us in our quest to rebalance our inner lives when under duress. The Jesus prayer is one of those resources. It is a very ancient but simple prayer that is still used all the time in parts of the worldwide church. It goes like this: "Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner." The first half explains who Jesus is. Christ means anointed, that is, the King. Son of God tells us of his unique place in the Trinity. In the second half, we tell Jesus that we know we can't do it all on our own. We repeatedly make mistakes or mess up, so we ask for forgiveness, and we can be sure that Christ gives it. Some people pray this prayer to the rhythm of their breathing, first half on the inhale second half on the exhale. It has a calming and focusing effect. We read from Luke chapter 18. The tax collector stood at a distance. He would not even look up to heaven, but beat his breast and said, "God, have mercy on me, a sinner." I tell you that this man, rather than the other, went home justified before God. Today, we pray for anyone who has lost their job or income recently.